Hey, all Dave back with Blockbuster Underground. We're doing a Montreal Canadiens related story today. Something that popped up on Sportsnet a little while ago. For those who did not know, I grew up in Montreal. Lived there probably about a good 20 years at least, and I saw a lot of stuff go on when I was living there. With this, they were trying to separate from Canada. They wanted their own currency. This whole thing with establishing the Quebec culture and all that stuff, the French culture. I mean, I get it. It's like I've no problem with Quebec being French, but you got like they were pushing it pretty overboard back in the day. Just look up like Jacques Parizeau and the referendums to try to separate and how that turned out for them. Not well. Spoiler note. So the article that popped up that I'm going to talk about here today. This started off apparently back in April of 2025. The French language police in Quebec. Yes, there are such a thing. They go around and they make sure that the signs are all in French predominantly, or the bigger version of the sign is in French, and the translated version of whatever it's going to be in Chinese, Greek, English will be a lot less visible to the mind, to the eye. So what they did is somebody complained, as is always the case with stuff like this. The city buses around Montreal, they have the little digital display on the front where they usually show the route they're coming, what bus number and all that sort of thing. So during the hockey season, they had actually switched it so that I'll show a picture right here. It used to say "Go Canadiens Go" and Habs down at the bottom there. Habs is okay to use because it's short for habitant, which rules into the Quebec history of the settlers that came and first found the land. So Habs is okay. Habitant, no problem. Um, Allez, go Canadiens, go. No, we can't do that. Allez Canadiens, allez. So they switched it. Of course they did. And obviously, again, somebody on the English side of things and the side where common sense takes over beyond language police, they petitioned and said, no, let's switch it back to go Canadian go. Go can't be used because it's an Anglicism. They can't say that, although a lot of times you'll be watching a French broadcast and they'll say, "Eh, fait de grand party." Um, like, come on. And we're talking about hockey. Like, everybody in the Bell Center chants, "Go Habs, go! Go Habs, go!" Nobody has a problem with that. So let me just skim through this article here. Montreal's transit agency says the city buses won't be flashing the "Go Canadien Go" slogan again anytime soon, despite getting the green light to do so by the language police. The electronic signs on each of the buses, more than 1,000 buses, have to be updated manually. So get this. Isabelle Tremblay, spokesperson for the Société de Transport de Montréal, says the agency doesn't have the money to modify them before winter during the regularly scheduled period to update signage. The Habs season opener, meanwhile, is set for October 8th at the Bell Center against Toronto. One thing is certain, quote, one thing is certain, no changes to the bus can be made in the short term, Tremblay said in an email. So the agency had removed the slogan from bus signs and replaced it with Allez Canadien, allez, to appease the language office, which enforces the province's strict governance rules of the use of French. The watchdog, like I said, had taken issue to the word go, calling it an Anglicism. And in grand partie, huh? Um, it reversed this course in June after Quebec French language minister Jean Francois Roberge intervened, declaring that the expression "Go Habs Go" was part of the Quebec culture. Yeah, like I said, every game you go to, even in the fucking video game NHL 25, you'll hear the digital crowd chanting "Go Habs Go." Yeah. Was part of Quebec called the word Habs, like I said, short for habitant, a description of early settlers, often used as the team's nickname. Tremblay said the agency typically only updates the signage displayed on its buses once a year in the winter. Doing otherwise would be too expensive. Well, why did you fucking change it in the first place? We insist on using the usual update processes, she said. Modifying the screens is a complex task because each bus has to be updated manually with a USB key, according to internal correspondence between the agency and language office obtained by the Canadian Press on access to information request. The transit agency is struggling with an aging network it says it can no longer afford to maintain. And in March, it decried a roughly $258 million reduction in provincial funding over 3 years for the upkeep of the metro system, far from the $585 million it asked for. Okay, so I got some thoughts on this. If every bus has to be updated manually with a USB key, why don't you just give the key to whatever guy is or girl is driving the bus that day and be like, hey, when you get on board, can you just plug, like, it can't be that complicated. Plug it in, update. I'm like, hello, McFly, come on. And it would be too costly. Like I said, they shouldn't have done this in the first place. It's fucking stupid. Like, how much did it cost to change it to Allez Canadien, Allez? Only for now, they turn around and, like, they get shot down, like they always have. I remember when I was living in Montreal, they went into Chinatown and started giving out fines to the restaurants because the signs outside were in Chinese. It's like, the fuck do you, what? What were you expecting? Like, ugh, come on. It's gotten to the point where I've seen like cartoons where it's like French fries for like just the absurdity of some of the stuff. But anyway, so those buses will get changed back eventually before, hopefully before the next before the new year, and we can go back to sanity where it'll actually say "Go Habs Go" on the bus. Um, Chime down in below. Tell me what you think. Do you live in Montreal? Have you followed what's going on with this? Do you care? Do you think they're overstepping it again with the restrictions on English language usage on signs and stuff? Are you a Habs fan? I know I'm one of few, especially here in Ontario. But anyway, comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.